Did Boba Fett use Jango Fett's armor after he could grow into it? This is another debate among Star Wars fans. We're going to explore this topic today on Star Wars Fanatic. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and show me some love for what I do by hitting that like button. I know I've done a lot of videos about Jango Fett, Boba Fett, and Mandalorians in general lately. Maybe I'm just hyped about The Mandalorian Season 2. Then again, maybe I like Mandalorians almost as much as I like Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. Whatever the reasoning, I will be talking about my theory as to whether Boba Fett used his clone daddy's armor when he came of age or not. I will include links in the description below for my sources and other videos I have done on Mandalorians and the famed bounty hunters. I know a lot of hardcore fans know these stories, but I feel like adding background is a must for those who don't watch the series or read the print media. This may take a few minutes to explain, so please bear with me. Jango Fett wore distinct Mandalorian-style armor. It was silver and blue, on almost like the colors of Death Watch. Jango Fett, famed bounty hunter and the DNA template for the clones, had an unaltered clone made just for him as part of his payment for being the DNA host to the Grand Army of the Republic. He raised young Boba and trained him as a bounty hunter until Jango's timely death when Boba was around 10 years old. After his father's death, Boba met up with Aurra Sing, and she became a mentor to him and helped him plan his revenge against his father's killer, Mace Windu. The attempt failed, and it landed young Boba in prison. While Boba was training with Aurra Sing and becoming a skilled bounty hunter on his own, we see him wearing armor not like that of Jango's. Sure, he's young and probably wouldn't fit in the armor. Then, in an unfinished episode of the Clone Wars, we see Boba Fett and Cad Bane square off in a Western-style pistol duel. Boba Fett arrives wearing distinct Mandalorian-style armor. Only it isn't the blue and silver of Jango's colors. It is the style in which we see him wearing in the films. As they draw and shoot, Boba Fett kills Cad Bane, but not before Bane's shot hits Boba in the helmet, giving him the telltale dent that we are all used to seeing. So whose armor was Boba wearing during the duel? Was it Jango's, just repainted and modified? Well, that's where the debate comes in. Half of the fans say yes, it was Jango's armor, while the other half question it. Here's the reason I am questioning at least part of it. When young Boba plotted his revenge to kill Mace Windu, he first tried setting a trap in Windu's quarters. When that didn't work, he set another trap for Windu. Jango's helmet rigged with explosives. Anakin Skywalker trips the trap and it explodes, nearly killing Anakin and Mace Windu. But Beskar steel, if Jango's armor was made of Beskar, is really strong and can take an explosion. This may be true, but let's take a look at the helmet designs. Jango's helmet had two black bands that ran the circumference of the helmet, one above the forehead triangles and one just below. Sure, they could have been painted over by Boba, but if you look closely, the bands are actually indented into the helmet. Boba's helmet does not have these bands. Paint would not fill them in, so it doesn't take much theorization to figure out Boba's trap exploded Jango's helmet. Boba Fett is not wearing his father Jango Fett's helmet. At least, that's my theory. But what about the rest of Jango's armor? Visually, other than the color scheme, there isn't much difference. Gadget differences, different ammo pouches, etc. Jango did have thigh, shin, and metatarsal armor that Boba did not. But this could have been an aesthetic choice. Wikipedia is no more clear than George Lucas on this matter. It has two entries on the same page that contradict one another. I know Wikipedia isn't 100% fact-based because anyone can add to it or edit it, just like Wikipedia or IMDb. I think their system of checks and balances, though, missed this one. I generally trust it, but one entry states, and I quote, Boba took on Mandalorian armor similar to Jango's. First off, that confirms it's actual Mandalorian armor. Second, it confirms it is not Jango Fett's armor that Boba uses. If it were not Mandalorian armor, it would state Mandalorian style armor or armor like that of a Mandalorian. Instead, it says Mandalorian armor similar, etc. My second point for that entry is that it is not Jango Fett's armor. Why? Because the entry says similar to Jango's armor. Now, I'm not arguing that these two were Mandalorians. George Lucas said no, so I have to go with that, even though he let authors write about Boba Fett being a Mandalorian for 30 plus years without correcting them. He said he planned that all along, but it feels like one day he just said, "Nah, I'm changing it now, just because." And he never replaced their heritage with anything else and left it open to interpretation. Okay, so Wikipedia's other entry states that he rebuilt his father's armor. Confused? Well, the entry also says it is Mandalorian armor, not a forgery. The exact quote is this: Boba inherited his father's Mandalorian armor, rebuilding it in his memory. Okay, so what does all this mean? My theory on the armor is this: Boba did inherit the armor of his father, Jango Fett, but he didn't use it, at least not for a long time. He would have had to have been 16 to 17 years old before he would even fit in it. This means he would have carried it around for 6 to 7 years. He was incarcerated for a short time during this period. He went on many missions and could have lost track of pieces of it, or even all of it at some point. Hence why he did not have the thigh, shin, and foot armor. It became damaged and he had to repair it or find it altogether. The torso and shoulder pieces are probably all that remains of Jango's armor. We know the helmet is not the same one, and his knee darts are opposite of Jango's. So, in a nutshell, he is using what he has left of Jango's armor and had to piece the rest together. I'd say Mandalorian armor wasn't impossible to come by near the end of the Clone Wars. Mandalorians were killing each other for hundreds of years. I mean, Jawas ended up with Boba Fett's armor. Who's to say something similar didn't happen to another unlucky Mandalorian? Well, that's the meat of my theory. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you have a different theory? Tell me about it. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget, I'm leaving links in the description to the Wikipedia page I used for a reference, and links to my other videos about Jango Fett, Boba Fett, and the Mandalorians. Also, hit that subscribe button while you're here, but clicking my icon or the subscribe button just below it. Give the video a thumbs up to support my tiny channel and the hard work I put into each video. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way.